Good morning, everyone. My name is Anne and I'm an alcoholic addict. So I'm going to tell you about me. I can only tell you my story how I tell it. I never try to cause offense or be any kind of controversy or anything like that. But the thing is my story is my story. And it may be different from yours or it may be similar to yours. But it's mine and it's the only one I've got. I believe I was born with this illness. I say that with hindsight. Now, I understand that many of us come through these rooms for many different reasons and many different ways, and none of us are wrong. If your story is different from mine, great, neither of us are wrong. But I believe in hindsight, looking back, that I was born with this illness. I came out the womb with a hole in my soul. And it didn't matter what you said or what you did or what you gave or what you took away, there was this hole inside of me that could never be fulfilled. I tried many things to fill that hole throughout my life. You know, and drugs was a good substitute for a while. Don't get me wrong, hence the fact that I'm fucking here. But the truth of the matter is there was this hole in my soul, and it didn't matter what I put in front of it. This hole was like a black hole, and it would suck everything into its orbit. No matter what I tried to cover it with, that hole would reappear, and I would feel that emptiness, that loneliness, that yearning for something that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I didn't know what it was that I wanted or what I needed, but whatever you gave me was never enough. It was never going to be enough, because whatever I put in front of this hole would suck it in, and that hole would reappear. I understand today that that hole in my soul feeds a narrative in my head that tells me I'm no good. It tells me I'm weird and I'm different, I'm a wrong'un. Before I've even done anything wrong, I ain't like you. I don't think, feel, or act like you, and you don't think, feel, or act like me. I'm different. Even when I'm with those that I'm related to by blood, even though when I'm with those who choose to be around me, I'm different, I'm weird, and I'm odd. And long before I even knew who I was, I decided that I was no good and I needed to keep who I was a secret from you. Because if you found out who I was, if you saw who I truly was inside, you wouldn't want to be around me. You wouldn't want to be my friend. And then I would be sad and I would be lonely on my own. And what's the fucking point in living? Suicide was a thought that came to me when I was a child, and I didn't even know what the word suicide was. I just didn't want to be here, and I understand today, and that's because being me is painful. My very existence is fucking painful to me, because I don't want to be me. I never did. I wanted to be you, or him, or her. I tried being what I thought you wanted me to be. Because I told myself, that voice in my head, fed by the hole in my soul, told me that I was no good, I was odd, and I was weird, and I was different. I don't think, feel, act like you, and you don't think, feel, act like me. Every time I had some love in my life and I thought this is it, what would happen is the hole would reappear and suck it back in, and then obviously you don't love me. Even though I had love around me, it wasn't right. It wasn't enough. It wasn't the right kind of love. I always felt empty. I always felt lonely, even in a room full of people. I understand today, everything I say is through hindsight, and I understand today that I'm not here because of something that happened to me when I was a little girl outside of my control. I'm a child of trauma, and that did not make me an addict or an alcoholic. I was born with this illness. Again, your story may be different to mine, and that's okay. Neither of us are wrong. And I needed to know that because it helped in my healing. You see, because while I'm busy saying if they hadn't of, then I wouldn't have, I go into victim mode. You see, that was my mantra in life. I would blame you for something I fucking did. And I was good at it too. You know? I could get you to fucking apologize for me for something that I did, you know? You see, I understand today when I was looking for reasons, and I searched for reasons my whole life. Why is it I feel the way that I feel? Why is it that I do what I do? Why is it that I hurt the people I love? Why is it that I allow people who claim to love me to hurt me? Why? And you see, the thing is, as I understand today, is I had an illness I didn't know about. So when I was looking for reasons, all I found was excuses. All I found was justification. All I found was a get out of jail free card. If you hadn't of, then I wouldn't of. Then I'll go through the Rolodex of trauma and be like, bam. If they hadn't of, then I wouldn't of. I played the victim. And I played it very fucking well. I believed the bullshit that my head told me. I didn't understand that I had an illness. I had an illness I didn't know existed inside of me. And it's important that I understand that today, looking back, because it means that I was able to forgive myself for the person I used to be because I had an illness I didn't know existed inside of me. I searched for love because I thought love would fulfill me. I had love in my life, but like I said, it never seemed to be the right kind of love, because even though my mother loved me, that hole inside of my soul was still very much there. And I bought into the whole Disney. I bought into the fairy fucking tale, hook, line and sinker. I need me a him. Oh. He will save me. Yeah, I even grew my hair long in case I needed to stick it out a window one day, you know? I needed him, so let me go get me a him. Oh, yay. So I got me a him. Oh, everything's great, everything's wonderful, everything feels great. But like I said, whatever I put in front of that hole, the hole will suck inside of it, and eventually that hole will reappear. And what happens is I go back to feeling shit about me, and that voice inside of my head says, he don't love me. He don't love me because he ain't treating me right, he ain't loving me right. And then straightway, bam, there must be somebody else because you ain't pretty enough, you ain't clever enough, you ain't smart enough, you ain't this enough, you ain't that enough. So I try harder and harder and harder until eventually it gets painful. So what I do is I get me a new him. Haha, it's his fault. Makes sense, right? Yeah. So I get me a new him, and then he don't work. So I get another him, and then another him, and then another hymn, and then, oh yeah, and of course there was that other hymn, and then the other hymn, and then the other hymn. I even threw in a few hers just for good fucking measure, you know what I mean? Never once was it my fault. I'm a victim, don't you know? Because I believe my own bullshit. And I understand today the reason why I believe my own bullshit is because the devil talks to me using my own fucking voice inside of my own fucking head. You know? And I believe it. My illness is a lie. It lies to me in my voice. And I believe it. You know, by the time I got to 14 years of age, I was done with being used and abused, right? Because again, I'm a victim in all of this. I can't take no blame. I can't take no responsibility. And I decided that I need a new plan. So I decided that I stole my friend's plan because I ain't clever enough to come up with my own. And she was obsessed with having a baby, so me too. But you know what it was? It seemed like a good plan, right? Because parents are good people. I just magically assumed that I'd become a parent and magically it would fix me. I didn't know that I was using a child to try and fix my insides. Like I didn't know that I was using him or her or them or this or that. I didn't know any of this because I had an illness I did not know existed within inside of me. So I, at the grand old age of 14 years of age, got pregnant by a 28-year-old man because I was a vulnerable child who didn't fucking know it. And the saddest thing is I didn't see nothing wrong with that. If anything, it made me more special. It made me more important, right? So I'm a delusionist, completely. I'm a fantasist inside of my head. And I imagine what it's going to be like, yeah? I'm going to tell him, and we're going to live together forever and ever. Amen. It will be wonderful. However, I turn around and I'm like, and poof, he's gone. I'm like, wait, I have more syllables. That's not how I wanted it to go. Looks like we need a new plan. Luckily, I have many plans. None of them are good. But, you know, I have many a plan. And, like, you know, so I have to rethink very quickly of what my future now looks like and that I'm going to obsess about. You know, but I thought I'm going to have this baby and I'm going to be a great mum and everything's going to be great. I believe that this child is going to fix a hole inside of my soul that I do not know exists. And at the grand old age of 15 and 33 days, I gave birth to my daughter. Now, people tell you when you're having your first child, there's this warmth, there's this wave of love. It's a moment, and everything's wonderful. So the fantasist inside of my head starts creating and building up what it's going to be like when I have this child. Now, the problem is I am a total fantasist. Reality will never live up to the expectation created by the fantasy inside of my head. So reality will always let me down. And when they placed that baby in my arms, I knew I loved this child. And I did. I loved her. But there wasn't the warmth or the wave. And there was no fucking pixie dust in the air, you know? And straight away that voice in my head tells me I'm shit. My illness seizes that and says, yes, you're a bad mum. I hadn't even left the delivery suite and already I'm telling myself I'm a terrible mother. I would love to tell you that I went on, became the best mum I could be, and that would be a lie. I was a failure. I was scared to be alone with my child because my abuser had told me that I made it up, and I was scared that my kid would make it up about me too. I was a terrible mum. I was a violent bully, verbally and physically, to my own child. And I hated myself. I hated myself more than I'd ever hated myself in the whole of my life, and I did not know what to do other than keep it a secret along with all the other bullshit that I carried around with me. The shame, the guilt, the trauma. I can't tell you who I am, because if you see who I truly am. So I paint a mask on. I do the charade. I act it out, when in reality I want to die. You know? Drinking and using started to become more and more important in my life. Now, see, my addiction didn't come. I ain't one of these people who took like one line and bam, that was it, I was gone. But what it was is it seduced me. It courted me. It schmoozed me. It seduced me in a way that I didn't even know I was being seduced. It made everything okay and it made everything all right. But not straight away. It didn't take me like bad straight away. It really took its time with me. I went on to have more children because I became obsessed with having another child. Because I got told that when you become like your second child, you're a better parent to your second child than you are your first child. So I needed another kid so that I could be a better parent to this child that I loved. This child that I adored, yet for some reason I couldn't be a good mum no matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I wanted it. You know, I would sit there and in guilt and shame, sometimes off my fucking face on ease, going, tomorrow I'm going to take you to the park. I'm going to take you to the park tomorrow. Or we're going to bake cakes. And I don't like, like them packets that you get and it's got all the stuff in. All you need to do is practically add water. They're the simplest fucking cake mixes, right? We're going to bake cakes tomorrow. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But by the time tomorrow comes, my illness was like, you ain't fucking going nowhere. You know those cake boxes that you can buy? They've got a really long shelf life on them, yeah? I would have to throw them away because they got out of date. That's how long I would keep them for, because I could never do it. You see, what I understand is that my illness was fighting against me already. My illness needed me to hate me. My illness needed me to be in a position where eventually the only thing I could do was drink and fucking use to take away the pain. I went on and I had 4 children. I heard Sonia saying about her ex-boyfriend being in her addiction, and I was like, yeah, I could relate to that. My ex was my biggest addiction for the longest of times, And it was one of those things, I just need you to fucking love me. Even my children, I need you to love me. I need you to validate me. See, that hole in my soul tells me that I need you. Love me, love me, love me, love me, love me. But the voice in my head is like, but don't get too fucking close. Because you might just find out who I am. And if you find out who I am, you ain't going to like me. And if you don't like me, you ain't going to want to be near me. And if you ain't going to want to be near me, I'm going to be on my own and I'm going to be lonely. I'm going to be sad and I may as well be fucking dead. My children were not enough. I'm the mother of 4 beautiful girls. I went on to have, this is the addict. I'm such shit mum with the first one. Let me have 3 more. And did I improve vaguely? A little bit. But the thing is my drinking and using got worse. It got worse over the years. I remember looking my nose down at other people. You see, I deluded myself into believing I wasn't an addict because I ain't as bad as. And I don't do what they do. And that ain't happened to me yet. I'm all right, yeah? But the problem is, those people that I look my nose down, I caught up with them motherfuckers. So I needed me a new set of people that I can look my fucking nose down, right? Do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, well, they weren't that bad in the first place, right? So now, no, I ain't as bad as them. And I don't do what they do, and that ain't happened to me yet. I'm all right. See, I delude myself. I lie to myself. My illness lies to me using my own fucking voice, and I believe it. My illness is a lie that lives inside of my head and will use my voice to talk to me. And I believe it. And the most cunning and powerful and baffling thing about this illness is it doesn't let me know it exists. I can see it in you, them over there. I can see it exists in other people, but I do not know it exists inside of me. I remember watching a film once years ago, and I never really knew why this line stuck with me so much until I came into recovery. And the line was, the devil's greatest achievement was convincing man he never existed. And I'm like, fuck me, if that's true, the devil handcrafted his illness. Because no matter what, I'm going to drink and use. No matter what I promise myself, my children, my family, my loved ones, my mother, I'm going to drink and use. No matter what catastrophe, I'm going to drink and use. No matter what celebration, I'm going to drink and use. But I lie to myself and I justify it. I come out with some bullshit, oh, I'm drinking today because it's this one's birthday. I don't even know this one. But I heard they had a birthday, so woohoo, you know? I'm stressed, I'm tired, this, that, and the other. In recovery, I remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get through? Say if my heart gets broken, say if something bad happens. Well, bitch, guess what? You weren't here just because you only drank when you were stressed, when you were sad. You didn't drink when you was like angry. I drank all the fucking time. I used at every given fucking opportunity. But I like to lie to myself and say I will only do it when this, that, and happens. I'm not going to sit here and tell you be in recovery, work the 12 steps, and you become immune to life. You are not immune to life. Shit's going to happen. The thing that I can tell you is that you need never drink or use again. That's what I was told. I wasn't told, Anne, you're going to walk around with a permanent fucking smile on your face. That ain't spirituality. That's nothing more than fucking face ache. You know? I will destroy my life. But most importantly, I destroy the lives of those around me. I am the one with the illness. I'm the alcoholic addict, me. But I'm not the only fucking sufferer because of my illness. My children got dragged through my illness. They got dragged through life. They got raised in a home full of violence and anger and aggression. They would wake up in the morning and the house would be trashed, maybe blood up the walls from where we had a fight. Maybe there'd be glass on the floor where I was having one of my one-woman fucking kitchen parties. But if you told me I was a bad mum, I'd have ripped the fucking face off of you. How dare you? I am a good mum. Even though my kids can't sleep because I'm having a wild party in my kitchen at 3 o'clock in the morning on a school night. And if those children had the audacity to say to me like, Mum, I can't sleep, I'd scream at them, go to fucking beds. I was a scary mum. I was a bully. I was the one when other people couldn't get their kids to do what they needed to do. They'd threaten them with me. Carry on and I'll get out. Gone. You know, that's who I was. And I hated myself. I covered it with more drink and I covered it with more drugs. I covered it with being the party girl. I covered it with being the life and soul. I covered it with hiding behind other people's addiction because I ain't as bad as and I don't do what they do and that ain't happened to me yet, I'm all right. I would lie to myself and those around me. Instead, I was living in hell, but I didn't even know it. My world got smaller and smaller. The lavish lifestyle that I imagined I was living was never true, but it got smaller and smaller and smaller. Till in the end, I ran out of people. I ran out of people to blame. All of a sudden, it's me doing things I said I'd never do again. You see, those I'm never going to do that had to change to I'm never going to do that by myself, or I'm never going to do that on a weekday, or to I'm never going to do that while the kids are in the house, to I'm never going to do that while the kids are awake, until I'm just going to try and never do that again. I was so deluded by the illness that lived inside of me that I didn't know of its existence, that I genuinely believed I didn't have a problem. Even though it was glaringly obvious. The consequences are not enough to stop me. Waking up and casualty with stitches in the back of my head and having no fucking idea how I got there or why isn't enough to stop me. It'll slow me down a minute. I'll make the promises, I'll take the oaths, I'll swear to a God I don't even know I believe in or not, I ain't never doing it again. I will look my children in their eyes and say, I swear to you I'm never going to drink again. I swear to you, and I meant it. Like Richard said, you could have put me on a fucking lie detector test. I'd have passed that bitch 3 times. Having a stroke at the age of 32 didn't stop me. Slowed me down a minute. But it was not powerful enough to stop me. My children are not enough to stop me. I have an illness that is more powerful than the love I have for my children. And it fills me with shame and guilt and another secret that I can't fucking tell anyone else. My world gets smaller and smaller and smaller until in the end I'm drinking and I'm using on my own. Things I said I would never do because only scummy people do that, right? But like I said, I run out of people to look my nose down. My last use up weren't nothing. It was like a gram of coke, a litre of vodka, the TV practically on mute, and the only people in the room were the ones that I imagined to be there because like I said, I'd finally fucking run out of other people to blame. And I remember sitting there and it was almost like coming to out of a blackout that I wasn't ever actually in, and sitting there and going, oh my God, how have I done this again? Why have I done this again? And I remember sitting there thinking, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I call? Because I'm that person. I will fuck myself up and then phone you at 4 o'clock in the morning. Please come and rescue me. I'll call my mum, please, because I'm scared I'm going to throw myself out the fucking window. Please come and rescue me. And all them interventions, as much as they meant well, they couldn't help me. I remember one of those interventions, my mum sitting there turning around and saying to me, Anne, promise me you'll never do it again. And I think this is the first time I ever really got honest. And I looked her in the eye and I said, Mum, I can't make that promise. And she's like, oh, wow. I said, do you want me to lie? I'm done lying. And she said, well, stop. I went, how? How? And she said, well, stop, because I'm your mum and I told you to stop. And I went, oh, here we go. She's gone, don't you get sarcastic with me, Anne? And I said, well, Mum, if that worked, our fucking prisons would be empty. Do you know what I mean? Third offence, bringing the mother. You know? I wish my mother's love was enough to stop me, but if my mother's love isn't enough to stop me and my love for my children is not enough to stop me, I have an illness more powerful than a mother's love. Fuck me. So I need something even more powerful than that. And I found it. I sat there and I thought, what do I do? And I remember clear as day, and I put my hand on my heart when I tell you it was the voice of God. But again, it weren't no big booming, and this is God speaking moment. God spoke in my voice and said, go get that number. And by that number, it was talking about a poster that I'd seen in my doctor's surgery. I'd seen this poster many a time. And I thought about it many a time. But the difference between this time and all the other times that I thought about it, action. The second I put action into getting that number, I changed my life. And I believed that was the voice of God. And I went and I got up and I called that number. I didn't just take the number, I got the number and I called it. And I remember I was crying down the phone and I'm sobbing and I'm going, I don't know why I do this. It doesn't make sense to me, help me. And there was a gentleman on the end of the line, and the only thing I knew about him at this moment in time was his name and what he sounded like. That was it. But there was something when he spoke to me, and I understand today that gave me hope. I understand today that there was something about the way he spoke to me that spoke to my very soul, and that's because that was the first sober addict I had ever encountered in the whole of my fucking life. And when he said, we can help you, I believed him. And he said to me, Anne, tell me where you live, and with permission, I'll pass your number on to a woman in your local area. Well, I used to live in a place in West London called Norfolk, and I was like, Norfolk! Couldn't get the words out my mouth quick enough. Do you need my door number, my postcode? I mean, fucking I'd given this motherfucker my bank details, anything. Help me, please. Help me. And he said, and what I'll do is I'll find out where your local meetings are. Oh, no. Oh, I'm not that fucking bad. Oh, no. Oh, I don't need meetings or anything. Calm down. I was offended. How very dare you? I'm not an addict. I just want to stop stop using and can't. You know, and I started to reel off this list of bullshit that I've been saying, not only to other people, but to myself as well, of what I couldn't possibly be an addict. And he stopped me dead with the simple, most important thing I've ever heard, even up until this very second that I stand in front of you. Because it's what saved my life. He said words to the effect of, an addict is not defined by how much or how often they use. An addict is defined by using against your will. Sounds to me, baby, like you're using against your will. What do? He said, I'm going to pass your number over to a woman in your area and she's going to phone you. And that beautiful woman, she came and she picked me up from my house and she brought me to a meeting. I remember phoning my mum to say to my mum, I've done it again. And I needed her to watch the kids so I could go to this meeting. I remember her saying, and I remember, Mum, I've done it again. And I just remember that, oh, Anne, she weren't even mad. It was despair. It was a why that I had no fucking answer to. And I said, Mum, wait. It's going to be all right. It's different this time. I'm going to get help. I'm going to be okay. I have no idea how I said it with as much conviction as I did, but I was speaking the truth. And that beautiful woman, she came and she picked me up. And I got in her car. And as I got in her car, she said to me, right, okay, I've got to meet another newcomer. I hope you don't mind, but it's a bit of a drive. Okay. So I live in West London at the time, and we have to go and meet another newcomer in East London, okay? It's a bit of a drive. So we're sat in the car. It's the first sober addict I've ever met in my life. This woman I now think is sent from heaven. She's the most amazing creature I've ever met in my life. You know where I'm going, didn't you? They're like, yep, we've been there. And as I'm sitting there and like she's talking, I'm nodding, I'm a nodding dog, yep. You know, I'm oversharing, I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm telling her things that I probably shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Very inappropriate. I'm like an absolute fucking wreck. But either way, I'm excited, I'm terrified. And she goes and she tells me about the meetings and I'm like, yeah. She tells me about the 12 steps and I'm like, okay, I might as well have a few, but yeah, She says, she mentions God, we talk about God. I'm like, I ain't got a problem with God. I don't think God likes me very fucking much, but I ain't got a problem with God. We're okay, yeah. And then she says, we abstain from all mind-altering substances. Oh, now. Came into Cocaine Anonymous to get rid of cocaine. And I remember sitting there and having a conversation in my head and I thought, okay. I said goodbye to the drugs that I liked. I said goodbye to the drugs I'd never met. Yeah. And I went, okay. And she said, and that includes alcohol. Fuck off. Oh, no. What do you mean? Oh, no, stop it. I said, well, So, oh, no, I can't. So when you said, like, what, never? She's like, no, never. And I said, oh, fuck off. I said, so when you mean never, do you mean never ever, just not for now, never, or never ever, amen? And I remember mentally in my head, crossing my fingers and my toes, going, never ever, not for now, never ever, not for now. And this bitch laughed as she said to me, never ever, amen. And I was like, and I remember we drove past the bus stop and I'm craning my neck to see what number fucking bus stop it is, because I'm like, this woman's batshit crazy. What do you mean we're going to fucking drink? Fuck off. And I'm looking at this bus stop thinking, oh my God, I have no idea where I am. All I know is I'm somewhere between West London and fucking East London. And I got me two choices. I can say thank you very much, you batshit crazy bitch. Goodbye, and make my own way home. Or, haha, I'm a genius, I can stick it out with the batshit crazy bitch and get me a lift home. My God knew what my God was doing, because he knows that I am too fucking lazy to get out of that car. And I'm so fucking glad. I got to that meeting and I was shaking like a leaf because I was scared. I was a shambles of a woman. I was an embarrassment of a mother. I was broken. And I couldn't listen to the similarities. I didn't want to be totally honest with you, because the addict in me was still very much running the show. And I heard those differences. I didn't use like her. I didn't have the same experiences as this woman. See, I'm not in the right place. I'm not here. I'm not a fucking addict about no fucking alcohol, bitches. You know? But then she said something. And I remember nodding. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm in the right place, and And by the time I left that meeting, I was shaking, but for a different reason. I felt like I'd been plugged into the mains. And I couldn't explain it, but for the first time in my life, I kind of felt home. Even though I didn't have a fucking clue about recovery, and I knew even less about addiction, it turns out that I just felt I found my people. And they said, keep coming back, and I did. I came back when it was raining. I came back when it was sunny. I came back when I was tired. I came back when I was pissed off. I came back when I didn't have no childminders. I kept coming back, and I got a day clean. And in 2 days, I remember 2 weeks in, sitting there with a fucking big grin on my face, and everyone's like, you're right. I said, yeah. I'm still clean. They're like, well done. I said, it's fucking weird, isn't it? Everyone who didn't, because I didn't tell everyone I was in recovery, obviously, it's embarrassing, right? You know, being a rangy fucking cokehead is absolutely fine. But I told everyone I was going to group therapy. I remember people were sitting there going, I don't know what drugs Anne is on. The bitch ain't stopped smiling, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, it weren't always easy. Don't get me wrong, there were days in those first 30 days. I'm surprised I ain't got arthritis, because I would literally grip onto the seat. Because I didn't think I'd make it to the preamble, never mind the serenity prayer. You know, there were times people would be like, you're right, I'm fine, you know. But I still came to that meeting. I didn't listen to that voice in my head which told me not to go. I was tired, or it was sunny, or it was raining, or had other shit to do. I listened to the voice that somehow, though I couldn't hear it, I could feel it in my soul, that made me get on that bus and go to the meeting. That made me, like, you know, bring my kids to meetings when I had to, because I had no other choice. I had to do these things because there was something undeniable in these rooms, and I couldn't tell you what it was, but I could feel it. And I understand today I'm clean and sober because of you. Whether we've met before, whether this is our first encounter, it doesn't matter. You are the reason why I'm clean and sober, because you gave me somewhere to go. You gave me somewhere to be. When I came here, you didn't tell me about me. You told me about you, and I heard about me. When you told me your truth, I heard my truth. I heard my story in your story. Your bravery and your honesty and it empowered me to be able to even look inside of myself and see the truth. I heard it in your voices. I heard it in your laughter, in your tears, in your cheers when I got up and picked up a fucking newcomer's keyring. I heard it in your cheers that you wanted it for me when I got my 30-day keyring. I heard it. You empowered me. You held me up when I felt I couldn't take a step. You held me. When I felt I couldn't breathe, you gave me fucking life. You encouraged me in ways that I could never understand, and you got me in a way that I couldn't even get my fucking self. You taught me about me by telling me about you, because you came and you stayed. I thought I was going to come here, do a 12-week course, get a certificate and bob off out the door. I was gutted when I heard that people were here for years. I was like, why? They can't have friends. Like, why? You must be lonely. Like, why are you still here after all these years? Not me. I'm going to do a 12-week course, get my certificate and bob off out the door. And thank fuck we don't do that. Because if you'd have done that, there'd have been no one here when I needed you. And if they'd have done that, there'd have been no one here when you needed them. Every single one of us in this room right here, right now, is because of someone who came before us, stayed, and carried that message. We talk about the spiritual toolkit laid at our feet, and one of the most powerful tools you've got is this. Whether you were raising your hand to ask for help, and believe me, my pride and ego still like to get in the way of that. Or whether you were raising your hand to be of service, raise your hand. Not one of us would be here if it was not for somebody else being of service before us. Could you imagine Bill and Bob turn around and say, well, I'm clean now. Yeah, I'm all right. You all right? Yeah, I'm all right. Let's just fuck off and live the rest of our lives. None of us would be here. Not one of us. I dare say, I don't think many of us would be alive. We're here because other people were being of service. If you have not got through the 12 steps, I beg of you, I plead with you, get through the 12 steps and then give it away to somebody else, because that's our life force right there. That's how we continue. That's how we've been running for so long. And that's how I'm alive today. Because somebody else, when you was reading that reaching out reading, I had to start, I was going to cry. And I thought, don't do that yet. Because if it wasn't for somebody else still caring, I wouldn't be here today. Whether you're the person who puts the chairs out, makes the tea or coffee, whether you're the person who reads a bit of literature or just comes and puts your ass on a seat so that there's people in the room so I ain't talking to my goddamn fucking self. Thank you. You are being of service. When you're at your home group, are you sharing a message? Are you asking for help? Are you putting $1 in the basket? You know? And if you ain't got the money, that's all right. You will do eventually. Are you there? Are you offering a lift? Are you making a cup of tea or a coffee for someone? Are you the one who put the literature out? What are you doing? Be of service, because none of us would be here if it was not for somebody else being of service before us. We owe it to them by giving it to them. That's how we pay it back to them, by paying it forward. We are responsible for tomorrow. We are responsible for keeping this beautiful fellowship alive by making sure that we put our fucking hands up, by making sure that we have a message to give to somebody else, to making sure that we can be the one who sits there and goes, I get it, baby. I get it. You're scared. I was too. That I can say to someone, you need a sponsor? Let's get you a big book and some highlighters and a pen. That's our job. That is our duty. Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing, because of you, I have for the first time in my life something I never had until I met you. Beautiful, beautiful people. I have self-worth, self-respect, self-value and self-love. Because of you, my children have a mother that they can actually be proud of. This weekend on Friday, my youngest child turned 16. And I was able outside this hotel to sing happy birthday, and a bunch of addicts jumped in. I didn't even know who the fuck was singing happy birthday to. And my baby girl ain't mad at me for not being there on her 16th birthday, because she knows what I need to do here. She knows that me being asked to come to Canada is fucking monumental. Yeah? And she's like, Mum, you go be there. I mean, I'm making it up when I get back and it's costing me a small fucking fortune. But, you know, it's all about the balance. It's all about the balance. Today, my second daughter, she's 23 today, yeah? And I was able to FaceTime her while I was getting ready. And you know what? Me and that little girl, we had a hard time. We had a hard time together. My children didn't have it easy. And I remember one day, on a Mother's Day, she wrote in my card, "Thank you for change." Because you changed, we all did. And if you hadn't have changed, I don't know where we'd be. And that's the little girl who used to look at me and go, look at the fucking state of you. Fucking fix up. She was embarrassed by me. And she trusts me with her baby. I have a 2.5-year-old grandson that I'm trusted with today. Because they know that no harm will come to that child in my care. Because they know I'm not high. They know I'm not drunk. And they know that I ain't letting random strangers into my house because I can't let the party fucking stop. You know, all of my kids have been to meetings with me over the years. Well, listen, in this room, I'm a baby. I'm only 9. You know what I mean? I'm 9 years clean and sober, thanks to you guys. But I didn't do it alone. I did it with you. The God inside of you reached out and found the God inside of me. You know? And so there's 2 things I always finish on because it's really important to me. And over this weekend, I've seen babies and children, and it's been beautiful. And like I said, I didn't always have the luxury of a childminder, and somehow I knew that if I didn't get to that meeting, I might not ever come back. So I had to bring my kids, and we were welcomed. We were never turned away. Because if you had turned us away, I might not have made it back, and those girls might not have me today. So if you were in a room and you see a child in a room, I beg you, mind your business. If you are in a room, I'll say it for those who ain't hearing me, I'll say it again. If you are in a room and you see a child in a room, mind your fucking business. Yeah? Because that could be the difference between that baby being fed, between that baby being loved, between that baby being safe, between that baby wondering where the fuck their adult may or may not be. Because if there is a child in a room, it means that their adult is getting recovery. Yeah? And if it troubles you that much, it got said, move to the front. If it troubles you that much, you know what? Get some of the literature, make a paper aeroplane, do what you got to do. But we need to recover. Like I said, I am the one with the illness, but I am not the only one who suffers. My children suffered harder than anyone else. So we need to recover, and thank God we were welcomed. My eldest girl, she's 29 years of age. She's also 3.5 months pregnant. How beautiful is that? And she has a scar on her forehead still from me. I gave it to her when she was about 3 years old because that's the type of woman I used to be. That's the type of mother I was before I met you beautiful, beautiful people. And I brought her along to a meeting with me, not because she's one of us. She's one of them fucking weirdos. She can open up a bottle of wine, pour a glass and put the rest back in the fridge. The fuck? A week later, I open the fridge, it's still there. It just blows my mind, you know? But I brought her to a meeting because I wanted her to meet you. I wanted her to see what it is that we do here, and I wanted her to feel some of the magic that I feel. And it was an open meeting, and it was a newcomer's time, and no one was speaking. It'd fallen silent, and she looked at me and she says, "Is it all right if I say something?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." She said, "Hi, my name's Bethany and I'm Anne's daughter. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being part of my mum's journey. I want to thank you for helping my mum to recover. I want to thank you for giving my sisters the mum that they have always deserved, and I want to thank you for giving me back my mum. And with that, I want to thank each and every single one of you for allowing me to be of service. Please never forget to raise your hands. God love you all. God bless you all. My name's Anne. I'm an alcoholic and I'm